mom, and then I went back to work. And none of my friends, so those of you that are homeschoolers or you're working moms, you have that community, you have that support. But I didn't really fit in either of the boxes. I wasn't just the working mom who sent their kids off to public school, and I wasn't just a homeschool mom that stayed home. And it's okay to be either of those. But when you don't fit in either spot, it can make connecting, finding that encouragement and support really difficult. So I decided that I would try looking for one online. Now I'm going to confess, Google and I are not friends. We're still not friends. My husband says, how can you work on the internet and not find anything? I'm like, I don't know. I don't speak Google. It just doesn't work. So there may have been communities out there already.
I love it.
I'm not saying there weren't any communities out there already. I'm saying I couldn't find them. So I thought I would just start writing and sharing, what I was doing, what was working, mostly what wasn't working. I wanted a really sincere, genuine, I want it to be real. I have what we call a Pinterest perfect life, and it's okay if you do, but I didn't. And so I wanted to show up real. And it was also, the second half was part of my self-care. As a working mom, I would work all day, come home, homeschool in the evening, take care of, at first I was still taking care of everything, because in my head, when I went to work, nothing would change. So I was still using homeschool programs that were meant for stay-at-home moms. I was doing all the housework. I was doing all the grocery shopping. I was doing all the meal planning. I was doing all the cleaning.
Yeah.
Exhausted.
Yeah.
I highly don't recommend, in case anyone's watching this. Don't do that. So that's where the website came from, was that need of it was my place. I had to learn everything. I didn't know how to do anything tech-wise. As I said, Google and I aren't friends. But it gave me that opportunity to be more than, just mom. And not saying that mom isn't the hardest, most rewarding job in the world, but I wanted to have an identity that wasn't, tied in with my kids. So I wouldn't have that pressure on my kids for them to succeed and do all the things, because it would reflect on me. I wanted that identity. And so that's kind of where that space came from. And as you know, community is really important. So my next step was to create the free Facebook group. You can find us at Working Homeschool Mom Club by Jen Mackinnon on Facebook. And my goal with that was to find one or two other working moms in the world who are also working and homeschooling. I needed more support. I needed that encouragement. When I was reading your book, you talk about doing things that you're maybe scared of or not mainstream, or you don't know if you have it in you to do it. You don't know if you're brave enough to do it. And I was in my 30s, and I was like, I don't know, according to society, I was probably halfway in the grave. So, late bloomer here, trying to figure things out. So, I just, I opened the Facebook group, and my goal with that was just to create a community where you could get encouragement, inspiration.
I like that. I love it. I think we should go with it.
Inspiration and support for moms who were on the same path, where we all travel our paths individually. They all look different, but with the same goal of, working, enjoying our work, being a great employee, maybe if you run your own business, being a great boss, dealing with all of that, coming home, providing our kids with the needs that they had as a parent, as a mom, homeschooling for whatever reason, whether you chose it or not. A lot of COVID moms they didn't have a choice. They were thrown in the deep end and said, here, swim.
Yeah.
So, we've been really happy to welcome them and be able to support them in this journey, whether it's for a year or more. So that was my goal with those spaces. And then, of course, I have the smaller, intimate, paid community of the Coffee Club. It's a smaller membership. It's more intimate. You get that. Because the group I started with the goal of 1 or 2 people is now 22,600. So yeah, there's a few of us out there.
There's a few. Wow, Jen, I think you tapped into a need here. And that's what's so amazing. just by like first like recognizing your own need, right? Just kind of saying like, gosh, there's something here that I need and I'm not sure that it exists. And then just saying, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and create it and create this space that maybe there's somebody else out there who needs this as well, who needs this encouragement. Inspirement, was that the word? I'm serious, it's so good. I think that it's just such a beautiful thing to do for yourself. You know, like you said, it was self-care in some ways for you. You've talked about recently in other conversations we had about like what do you want your day to look like? And that, I just keep coming back to that because it was so impactful for me. Like, you know, a life is made up of days, and what do you want your life to look like? Like what do you want it to be? And so you have to start small. You have to start with your days and figure out, okay, what does this day need to look like? What do I need today? Or what do I need to have control over so that the day goes as, you know, as close to good as possible? Because some things, of course, we don't have any say over, but it's good to kind of plan those things that you can plan and problem solve the things that come up and like, okay, yeah, we've got this. And I feel like if you feel alone though, it's really hard to get to that place of like, actually, you know what? No, we can figure this out. This is solvable, and this doesn't mean that we're not in the right place or doing the right thing for our family or for, you know, for myself as a woman, but it just means we got to figure it out.
Yeah, I do. I completely agree. And I think, you know, so I've talked about like the free group and then the coffee club, but I also have one more thing that I host. I guess you'd call it that. It's a mastermind. So it ties into what you're saying. So the mastermind, working moms get, you know, daily support with me on Voxer, which is like a walkie-talkie app.
Yes, I love Voxer.
And we have Zoom meetings. And so one of the purposes of this is actually to really dig into that day-to-day thing. And sometimes we're not looking for solutions. We're not looking for answers. We're looking for someone to listen. And so, you know, it's amazing for me as a mom, because I notice I do this, but then to know I'm not alone is they, you know, the moms will get on there and they'll say, look, I have this really hard situation. And they just start talking. And as they talk, they start, we call it thinking out loud. As they're saying it out loud, as they're hearing themselves say that, they will come up with possible solutions. But sometimes we just need that space. So the great thing about like when we have these communities, especially now with COVID, we've had to restrict our face-to-face communities. I feel like this support is really important, you know, having that safe place where you can say things out loud and kind of problem solve your own solutions and know that someone out there is listening.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, that day to day is so vital, because our time, unlike our money, like we can get some money back, you can't get your time back. So we have to be intentional. We have to dig in and start taking control and not just let. You and I had this discussion earlier about, you know, reacting. When it's happening to me, that I'm just reacting when life is happening to me. So I think that's really important.
So important. So I think it's clear how you've been impacted and how your community has been impacted. What would you tell somebody who was considering, you know, starting something or creating something that doesn't necessarily exist in the form that they needed to? What would you tell somebody who's considering, permission granted, to pursue this new thing?
Well, I think the first thing I would tell them is make sure that you have a solid why. Have a reason. You know, make sure that it's something you're passionate about, because it may not work out the way you think it is. And if you are not, you know, if you don't have that solid reason, it's hard to stick to something when it's difficult. But I also want to encourage people to try it.
Yeah.
Just try. Just begin, you know, start with those little steps, but don't be, you know, we can do all the learning, we can do all the preparing, but if we don't apply it and actually put it in action, there's nothing to show for our effort. So we need to be brave and to get that support.
Mhm.
Find someone who is going to be in your corner to listen, to cheer you on. And it can be anyone. But just try it and see, because you'll be amazed at how those little things make big changes.
I love that. Yeah, it's definitely something that I had to through the process of putting the book together, was just that I had to remind myself repeatedly, like, it's okay that you don't know how to do this, Bethany. It's okay. You can figure it out, or you find somebody to help you, worst case scenario. But that was something I think in the past I would have said, well, this isn't going to happen. So I think that was the why thing it is really important, because you are going to come across obstacles. There
Mhm.
are going to be challenges that you're going to face. And, who's to say, right? But if you had encountered some obstacles that you felt couldn't be overcome, there might be some women out there who feel very alone because, Practical by Default and the coffee club and the mastermind and all of that don't exist. And so I think it's just so powerful the way that when we speak what's on our heart and the message that we've been given. It is so powerful, just those little things that happen in community. One of the things I wanted to ask you about was that you're running the first ever permission granted book club, which is amazing, so amazing. But I keep thinking about this moment when I did a call with your ladies, and towards the end of it, she was like, oh, you just helped me. You just helped me understand why my son doesn't like writing. And it was because I said something about writing being an emotional thing, and how I'm inspired, or I feel something, and so it has to come out on the page. And she's like, oh my gosh, now I know why. And then I said, oh my gosh, now I know why maybe my son struggles with writing, because it is an emotional thing. Like, you're processing. It's not just math. It's not just numbers. Like, you're thinking, you're processing, you're feeling, you're emoting, like all of those things. And so in a span of like 5 minutes, there were like 3 ahas. And it's just amazing to me. That's just amazing. So anyways, that's all an aside. But I keep thinking about that because I shared it with my husband. He was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And it's all because of people coming together who are taking up the space that they're supposed to take up in the way that they're meant to, and then getting together talking about it. And I think it's just such a beautiful thing. So what have you experienced with the book club? Like, what are, I don't know, some aha moments or some takeaways? What are you seeing happen for those people who are participating in the book club?
Well, one of the things that I've really appreciated is, I'm very passionate about moms practicing self-care. And I know you're probably like, what does this have to do with it? But I promise there's a connection. So, self-care for me personally, my definition is anything that recharges you. So it doesn't have to be bubble baths. It doesn't have to be a spa day. If it is, great, but it doesn't have to be. And so one of the first things I did when I set the tone for what is it called?
Book club?
Yes, thank you. I was like, is it called the book club? The book club was, I really wanted not to add one more thing to their day.
Yeah.
I already have enough on our plate. I didn't want it to be just one more thing I have to check off. I really wanted it to be a way for them to connect with themselves, to connect with us. So what we did, Bethany was super helpful, is we took her book and we broke it down into manageable pieces. And, they have like 7 days to read 4 or 5 poems. And so I encourage them, set a timer, write it down in your planner and set like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not going to take you 10 minutes, but it gives you time to read it. Her book, if you don't have it, I highly recommend it. The layout is amazing. It has like journaling sections, and it has questions, and it really helps you reflect. And that's one of the things. So one, I've seen moms, start to use it as a way for self-care.
Mm.
And two, they're really reflecting. Not every poem is going to connect with them,
Right.
but the ones that do, I see moms who are reading a poem and then they're like, okay, I can reflect back on my life, but I also want to take that and reflect it forward. Erin was in our chat, and what I loved about it, she's like, every mom needs this book. She's like, if you're about to be a mom, you need this book. If you're a mom of little kids, she's like, it will be a book that I will pull off the shelf again and again.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's really been this, because without the book club, without somebody to host it, without Tanya, who sent me the book, I mean, it all starts with like that rock
Right.
in a puddle, right? And then it ripples out.
Yes, yes.
So she sent me the book. For those of you that don't know, she's a member of my coffee club, and she sent it as a gift. And she's like, this is she said, enjoy the journal. It's a fun one. And I started flipping through, and the members of the coffee club, the moms were like, we really wish we had this book that we could do together. And I was like, there's like millions of books out there. How am I going to find one that interests everyone, that would help them? And again, not just add something to their plate, but would be beneficial. When you invest time and energy, you need to see results.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, attentional. So it's just been amazing because these moms have picked up this book. I see them reflecting. I see them being braver. We've had moms who are like, I never thought of things this way. I didn't realize, I had this in me. It's been really incredible, because sometimes in this busy world, we forget that words have power, and the words we tell ourselves, we hear them and we think, and how, like, I know as a mom, especially if you have a daughter and a son too, but I find moms are mostly focused on their daughter's self-esteem, is that we're very careful about what we say to our kids. We're not so careful about what we say to ourselves.
It's true.
We say, I can't do this. It's too hard. What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? And sometimes we need to read the words out loud to ourselves and remind ourselves that we can do hard things. And it's okay to screw up and make mistakes. I do it all the time. You need an example. And so, it's perfect for exactly what I was hoping for. One of my moms called it self-development. She's like that. That's my reason for doing this. It's like, this is my investment in myself. So
I feel like that's, for some, like you said, when you said it at the beginning of our conversation that you were a late bloomer, and that's, I was like, me too. Where's my hand? Me too. That's how I feel. And I feel like so much a part of it has been just kind of understanding, who I am, and being okay showing up as that, and being okay, I'm not someone who enjoys baking. I never will be, and that's perfectly fine. I am okay with that. I mean, I'm decent at cooking. Don't ask my family, but like, if you want like a really like a foodie kind of a meal, like a really great steak, you want my husband to take care of that. But no one can be perfect at everything. You can't do everything well. Like, if you go to a restaurant and the menu is gigantic, there's no way. They're trying to do too much. It's not going to be any good. You can't do everything and do everything well. It doesn't work. Like, I've tried it. It doesn't work. So I think that when we take the time to do some reflection and understand, like, oh, well, this is really kind of where I feel my heart pushing me, even though there might be some shoulds over here saying, well, you should be doing this, or you must be doing this. But when you feel your heart pulling you in a different direction, then you realize, actually, that's where I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to go. And so I think that the self-development piece is gigantic, because, like we were saying, that is going to help you prioritize, and it's going to help direct your values and help the home that you create, all of those things. And so it's not a small thing.
No. No, it's
It's
not.
huge. And that's such a great gift that you're giving these women who are, I mean, just they have a lot on their plate.
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
they have a lot on their plate.
Yeah. And I love the part where you said like that you can't do it all. I always say, because as moms, we want it all.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
want to be really good at our jobs. We want to be amazing moms. We want to keep our house clean. We want to cook well or hire someone.
Yeah.
Um, but we want all these things. And I always, I'm starting to say it out loud because I sometimes we forget to say it out loud. And I say to my moms, I said, you can have it all. You can, but you can't have it all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Something has to take center stage. And so when we
Yeah.
dig into our days and we try to decide, who am I? What do I want? What do I want this to look like? What choices can I make today? Because as you mentioned earlier, we don't have control over everything. If you
Mm-hmm.
have a 9 to 5 job, you can't say, sorry, I don't feel like coming in today. Well, you can, but you won't be there very long. If you want to keep your job, I don't recommend that. But how do you want the rest of the day? What tones do you want to have? And so when we dig into those moments, we make those choices.
Mm.
Having that control to build our confidence a bit, right? Like, oh, I can
Yeah.
decide. It's not just life happening to me, but I can decide, how am I going to react to this?
Yeah.
Or, how am I going to spend? And so that 10 minutes of reflection and, reading your words has been really, really great for them. So I'm super glad.
That's just amazing. Yeah. Tanya's been a big force in my life as well. So, yeah, I'm super thankful for her in multiple ways. So, especially that she sent you the book, and it's just such a sweet, sweet moment, and just been such a joy to get to know you and to just enjoy learning from you and your group and how you're serving them. It's just an amazing thing. So one final wrap-up question, and that would be, what is the edge that you are on right now that you feel you might need to pursue, permission granted, to be able to take your next brave step?
That's such a tough question. So right now, life is kind of crazy. I mean, it's always kind of crazy, but
Yeah.
we've had added challenges of, medical for one of my children is finally coming, we hope, to the end. It's been a couple years battle, so it means chaos. It's in the fact that I'll be running here, there, and everywhere, and so it's a lot to deal with. But I think giving myself permission to cut back on all the things I say yes to, so I can be present where I need to be.
Yeah.
As a mom, because I have these moms who are relying on me. The mastermind, I show up every day, every week for them, and I want to be there. I want to be present. For the coffee club, I want to make sure I'm in there supporting them, making sure that they have that listening ear, that support that they need. And, my family. And so right now, I think just giving myself permission to make sure my yeses and my nos line up with what is important right now. And, I realize that every day is going to be a bit different.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Because there's some freedom in there. Like there's, if your child needs you that day to just like, hey, I just need you to sit with me for 10 minutes. And you're like, yeah, actually, you're my priority right now. So, I mean, always the kids are the priority, but the way that you can structure your day and figure out how to make the most important things where you need to be present happen, like that's going to be amazing. So exciting for you to be able to, just plan out a little bit and say, okay, well, this is what needs to be, and to be happy and okay with that. And like you said, like there will be time for all of the things. It just maybe is not right this minute, and that's so wise.
Yeah.
So
and being okay with that.
Yes.
It's not a failure if you can't do it right now.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. Because the failure would be to pretend like you could do it all. That would actually.
Yeah.
That would be a really big challenge that we probably would all fail 100% at. I mean, there's just no way, right? So Oh, so it's a busy season coming up for you. So I will be remembering that for you. The busy summer. What are the temperatures in Nova Scotia?
We have been in the middle of a heat wave for
Mm-hmm.
us. So we are Celsius. So we've been around 32, 35.
Okay.
All of Canada seems to be going through that right now.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping it breaks soon. Although, like here where I live in Nova Scotia, it's been raining for like 3 days. And the weather forecast says more rain for the next 4 or 5 days. So hopefully that will help
Yeah.
lower the temperatures, and we don't have to worry too much about fires and things.
Yeah. That's good for the rain then. Because, yeah,
Yeah.
don't want to worry about fires. Well,
No.
thanks so much for your time in the midst of a busy season and for sharing how you created a space that you needed. And that was so great for others. And also for sharing about the Permission Granted Book Club that you kind of like made happen in some ways. I was like, hey, Jen, that's a great idea.
It goes to show you need to like be brave, because I was like, I don't know, I have this book, should I? So I kind of mentioned it to Tanya first.
Uh-huh.
But, I know Tanya didn't know you, and I was like, do you think Bethany would be okay if I like shared the book within my group, and and then I've never run a book club.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I don't know what this looks like. I don't know how to make this practical, like, as you can tell, practical by default. So everything had to make sense, right? And so
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
how am I going to lay this out? How am I going to make it engaging and fun for the moms, but not too overwhelming?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I had to be brave. I was like, okay, I have to reach out to this stranger on the internet who writes books. And I was like, I don't know. So I'm really happy that she's like, oh, just reach out. I was like, okay, fine.
I love it.
So I did, and are sincerely a pleasure to work with in that.
Oh.
You listened to all my concerns. You made sense of my mumble jumble and streamlined it into something that is totally doable. I'm excited to see how others make it work, because it's such a
Mm-hmm.
great framework, right? It's so flexible where you can make it work for online book. I think online book clubs are so amazing, because some of us have friends that are all over the place,
Yeah.
different time zones. And
Yeah.
so you've made it easy to bring them together, which is what social medias really should be about, right? Bringing people together.
Love
And yeah, so it'll be cool. I can't wait to see how others make it work.
And you're on week 6?
We
Okay.
are,
Oh,
yes,
week
we're
6.
just over halfway.
Just
So
over halfway. Well, gosh, I'm so excited for you guys. And thank you again. It's been such a joy to work with you and to get to know you. And thanks again for coming and talking with Permission Granted Buddies over here. I hope you have a great day and stay dry.
I will.
Wayne, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, friend.
Okay. See ya.
Bye-bye.